That doesn't mean that he's still not a royal prince. He is what he is. He was born that way. He's a public figure. Even though he's resigning from being a working royal, why should we prevent him having the same level of security that his brother does and the king does?
Because they are serving members of the institution and represent this country in a respectful and dutiful manner. He has berated this country. His wife hates this country.
Thank you for your call. Suzanne, a new caller in Barnes. Welcome, Suzanne.
Hi. I think that last caller just actually proved the case of why Prince Harry needs security, because there's been so much hate stirred up about him and also a lot of misinformation. But also we shouldn't forget that he did offer to pay for his security himself some time ago. But I understand there was various restrictions as to what, equipment, guns or whatever his security could have.
Then let Met Police, Suzanne. Of course you can. Suzanne.
I saw him. I saw Prince Harry come for some service at St Paul's a while ago, and I was really shocked when he came out how unprotected he seemed, isolated. He had 2 or 3 of his own staff that were clearly his people there, and also when he got into his car and he pulled off, he had to wait for the traffic and then, eventually get out. I just thought at the time how vulnerable he was. And also, do we really want to have something happen to him?
Well, of course we don't.
He is always going to be the king's son.
Of course we don't want anything to happen. Of course we don't. Absolutely not, Suzanne. But the thing is, as I understand it, he gives 30 days notice. An assessment is made by the police at the relevant time as to where he's going, what the implications are, and they provide the level of security required. I mean, the Met Police Force, as you're saying, Suzanne, he offered to pay for it. The Met Police is not like a private security company. It's not G4S. I mean, the Met is a public institution. It's not a private security company.
No, but if you go to a football match, the football clubs have to pay for the police, don't they? So there are instances where people can pay for security.
Do you think he's been hard done by, Suzanne? You think we're being too hard on him?
I do, definitely. And also, I'm not into the whole thing about the taxpayer should pay. I think if you're looking at it, you should look at the whole of the royal family in terms of what protection they get, how much it costs us, all the rest of it, because I'm sure there are other members of the family who also cost us a lot of money, but they're not exposed, they're not ridiculed in the press. So I didn't think we've been hard on him.
Okay, Suzanne, thank you for your call. Robert, another new caller in Enfield. Warm welcome. Good afternoon, Robert.
Yes, in my view, I think his security should remain, its whole package should remain, because number one is a royal. No matter how we look at it, left, right and centre, it still remains a royal. And at the end of the day, if anything happens to him, which you cannot predict on the basis of the fact that he comes into the country every now and again, if anything happens to him, it's the same set of people that said that he should not get security that will come out and say, why was he not protected? So at the end of the day, how much is he costing the taxpayer in terms of the 1 or 2 times that he enters into the country?
There's more than that, I think. It's more than that, Robert.
Yes, it's slightly more than that, but at the end of the day, for the rest of his natural life, which is not very long, in terms of like what all the others receive, there are names within the royal family that don't come to limelight that receive the full package of security. What's stopping him from receiving that? I don't think it's right because he chose to be happy. He chose to be happy because he chose to be happy. However, whatever the case may be, back and forth, we can push that back and forth. He chose to be happy. He still remains a royal.
Robert, I understand that.
It's going to cost a stain on the name of the royal family.
I understand that, and of course we don't want anything to happen to him. Of course we don't. But the royal family is an institution that serves the public. It is there to serve the public, and it's there to perform a public duty. Now, if you decide for whatever reasons, personal happiness or whatever you want, for your own desire to go and decamp to Montecito and appear on Netflix programs about polo, that's your decision. That's fine. It's a personal choice. But why on earth should the police, which is an arm of it's a public service here, be your private plaything in that respect? Oh, he's gone. Okay, never mind. Andrew says this, no, they have enough money. And Steve says, Harry, like any other multimillionaire, should fund their own security. He left the firm, so why should the firm provide security? I think this is a bit of a murky point about whether he's paying or not paying. The question is, should he be allowed to pay, even if he wants to pay for services provided by the police? I mean, as I say, it's not a private security firm. Steve says, why should I, a low-paid worker, donate my taxes to fund a multimillionaire's security? Interesting point. Should the UK taxpayer fund Prince Harry's security?
What if the version of events we've been told about Prince Harry's ongoing security dispute has been missing the most crucial part of the puzzle? For years, critics have reduced the entire debate into a simple question. Should Prince Harry receive special protection after stepping away from official royal duties? But what if that isn't the real question at all? Because reports currently circulating suggest something potentially significant may be unfolding. Prince Harry could be preparing a return to the United Kingdom alongside Meghan Markle, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet for a major public engagement connected to the Invictus Games. If that happens, it would represent one of the most high-profile Sussex family visits to Britain in years. And not just because of media attention, not just because of ongoing royal tensions, but because it could point to something much deeper. It may indicate that after years of legal disputes, public criticism, court battles, and relentless commentary, Harry now feels conditions may be shifting enough to even consider bringing his family back to the UK. And if that's the case, then the entire conversation around security could be entering a new phase. Let's break it down. Because beneath the headlines, beneath the commentary, and beneath the noise, there is a reality that often gets overlooked. Prince Harry is not just a former working royal. He is one of the most instantly recognizable individuals on the planet. Whether people support him or criticize him, that visibility is undeniable. He cannot simply blend into a crowd. He cannot walk through busy public spaces unnoticed. He cannot move like an ordinary private citizen. His face is globally known, and his life has been documented since birth. And that reality didn't disappear when he stepped back from royal duties. If anything, public attention around him has only intensified. Think about it. How many people in the world generate global headlines just by travelling? How many individuals have their private family decisions dissected by television panels, newspapers, online commentators, and social media audiences all at once? Very few. But that is Harry's everyday reality. Which is why his supporters argue the security issue has never truly been about privilege. It has been about practicality, risk, and real-world exposure. Many critics assume security means luxury or special treatment. But that is not how protection frameworks actually work. Security is not about status. It is about assessment, threat levels, exposure, and vulnerability. And in Harry's case, those factors are undeniably significant. Critics often say, just hire private security. But Harry's position has never simply been about hiring bodyguards. The issue has consistently involved coordination, intelligence sharing, access to protection systems, and institutional cooperation. Things private security teams cannot fully replicate. Agree or disagree, that has been the core argument all along. Yet in public debate, that nuance is often lost. Instead, the story is frequently simplified into a narrative of entitlement. Supporters see something very different. They see a husband, a father, a public figure navigating unusual and highly specific circumstances. Security concerns have been presented as one of the main barriers to returning to the UK regularly. So if that barrier is beginning to shift, the implications are significant. Suddenly, this is no longer just a constitutional or legal discussion. It becomes a family matter. It becomes about Archie and Lilibet potentially spending time in Britain, about reconnecting with relatives, about rebuilding relationships strained by distance, about moments that cannot be replaced by video calls or messages. And that is why this story resonates beyond royal watchers. At its core, it is deeply human. Now, consider the role of the British media. Because any discussion about Prince Harry's security concerns inevitably intersects with the media environment surrounding him. For years, he has spoken about the impact of constant scrutiny. And regardless of where one stands on his statements, one fact is clear. The level of attention he and Meghan receive is extraordinary. Every outing becomes a headline. Every trip becomes content. Every interview becomes debate. Every family decision becomes public discussion. That constant visibility creates a reality very different from ordinary life. Supporters argue that this should be part of any serious security assessment, because visibility increases exposure, and exposure increases risk considerations. Unlike most celebrities, Harry did not choose his fame. It was assigned at birth. From day one, his life was public property. And that does not simply disappear with a career change or relocation. Critics argue he made his choice by stepping back and moving to California. And that is true in terms of lifestyle decisions. But supporters respond that public recognition does not reset when employment changes. He remains who he is. Prince Harry remains globally recognizable regardless of location. That is why this debate keeps returning, because the underlying reality has not changed. He is still famous, still identifiable, still connected to one of the most visible institutions in the world, and still dealing with security questions most people never face. What is interesting is how the debate splits perspectives. One side sees privilege, the other sees risk management. One side sees entitlement, the other sees logistics. And the truth likely sits somewhere in between, complex, layered, and not easily simplified. That is why reports of a possible Sussex family visit are so important. Because actions often reveal more than speculation. If Harry feels comfortable enough to travel with Meghan and their children to Britain, it suggests some level of confidence in conditions that has not been present for years. It suggests movement. It suggests progress, even if it does not mean resolution. Now turn to Meghan. Because in almost every discussion involving Harry, Meghan Markle becomes part of the conversation, whether or not the issue is directly about her. Over time, security debates, institutional questions, and family tensions all tend to circle back to her. Yet, if we strip away commentary, she is also a mother making decisions about her children's safety. Like any parent, she weighs risks. Like any parent, she prioritizes protection. And that instinct is widely understood across cultures. If a return visit is being considered, it likely reflects confidence that those concerns are manageable in some form. And that alone is meaningful, not because it ends disagreement, but because it shows movement where previously there was stalemate. Movement creates connection. It creates experience. It creates the possibility of rebuilding relationships. Because relationships rarely improve through distance alone. They improve through presence, through time together, through shared moments. And that is the deeper layer of this entire discussion. Security is only the surface issue. Beneath it lie questions of identity, family, belonging, responsibility, and freedom. What does Harry owe the institution he was born into? What does that institution owe him in return? Can someone step away from duty while still requiring certain protections? Can family ties exist independently of institutional structures? These questions do not have simple answers, and that is why public interest remains so strong, because they extend beyond royalty into universal human experience, balancing independence with connection, balancing personal freedom with family responsibility, balancing safety with access. That is why the story resonates so widely. It is not just about royalty, it is about people. And now, if reports are accurate, we may be approaching a new phase. A moment where long-standing tension gives way, at least partially, to practical possibilities. A moment where family connection becomes more feasible again. Not perfect, not fully resolved, but possible. And that matters. Because if Prince Harry, Meghan, Archie and Lilibet do return to Britain together, it signals that circumstances have evolved enough to allow it. After years of uncertainty, that alone is significant, because this has never truly been about winning or losing, despite how it is often framed. Life is not a competition, families are not rival sides, and human relationships are far more complex than headlines suggest. At its core, this is about a family trying to make decisions that work for them. A father navigating extraordinary security realities, a mother protecting her children, and children growing up with the chance to know both sides of their family. If this visit happens, it may not solve everything. It may not silence critics. It may not end the debate, but it could mark the beginning of something new. And that possibility alone is worth noting. So, what do you think? Has Prince Harry's security situation reached a turning point? Does a possible family return signal real progress? And should security be based only on official roles, or also on public profile and real-world circumstances? Share your thoughts below. If you found this insightful, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more updates and analysis on Harry and Meghan. Thanks for watching.